Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be once again talking about the D&D fiasco that was the virtual tabletop named Sigil, and Hasbro actually having more of a, I don't know if it was a direct response, I think it was someone either leaked something or something similar to that, but we're going to be on PC Gamer talking about this. This article is by Harvey Radville. Thank you for the article. It'll be linked down in the description if you'd like to check it out for yourself. The title goes, Hasbro pushed Sigil out of the nest. D&D's latest layoffs happened because the distinct monetization path for its virtual tabletop, Sigil, never materialized. Hasbro treated Sigil like a video game instead of a VTT, and at no point cared for understanding the difference. Yeah, I mean, yesterday when I made that video, we were kind of speculating that something like this was probably happening, because the way they were talking about it, there's basically no way to buy anything, and it was going to be very expensive to actually use or develop. And from what I could tell, they weren't actually selling anything. So, and Hasbro is really just desperate for money. The line must go up, and pretty much Wizards of the Coast are one of the main ones that the line is going up. So they kind of have to keep pushing for the line going up. Just before we continue on deeper into the article, I'd like to remind everyone, please subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this type of content. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers, and once we do, I'll be doing a Q&A video. Like the video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, I understand. Comment down below what you guys think about this whole virtual tabletop fiasco that Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro has been dealing with. If you'd like to check out something else on the channel, I also do a podcast called Two Buds, One Podcast, if you'd like to check that out. D&D's attempt at a virtual tabletop, VTT, a digital space where you could hypothetically play a bit of Dungeons and Dragons, has been hit with layoffs shortly after its release. That was per a LinkedIn post by former senior writer Andy Collins earlier this week. Now a report by Rascal News has more details, and it looks rather dire. Now I just want to say, which is hilarious to me, they technically already have a virtual tabletop that's integrated within D&D or D&D Beyond, but like literally no one knows that it exists. Like, for instance, this person said like their attempt at a virtual tabletop. This is their second attempt, technically, because their first attempt is just a regular 2D space virtual map thing that's integrated with D&D Beyond in their character sheets and stuff. But this one was supposed to be 3D. So that's why this one costs so much more, and that's why it's never going to happen, unfortunately, because it just costs too much to make. But they already had something like that in D&D, and it was their battle map stuff. So, which is why this was such a weird move to me in the first place, because they already had something like this that was easier to produce and less intensive to run and develop. Rascal's News reveals an internal memo. Oh, an internal memo, that's what it was. Forwarding to the publication by an employee who chose to remain anonymous. That makes sense. However, Collins would later confirm to the publication that the memo is legitimate. It reads, after several months of alpha testing, we've concluded that our aspirations for Sigil as a larger standalone game with a distinct monetization path will not be realized. It was never going to be a standalone game. Also, it's not a game. It's a virtual. I mean, that's why I guess that's the whole thing of like they didn't understand the difference between a virtual tabletop and a video game, because like you could try to do microtransactions with a VTT, but most people don't want that. And if you're integrating it with D&D Beyond, it's supposed to be like a addition to all the things you buy on D&D Beyond. It's not its own separate product technically. It's an addition to D&D Beyond, but apparently they're not looking at it like that. I mean, which is why it doesn't surprise me that it was closed now, because if this is the way that Hasbro was looking at this, then this is so far from the team is developing. As such, we cannot maintain a large development effort, and most of the Sigil team will be separated from the company this week. We are, however, proud of what the Sigil team has developed. That's just stupid BS that's dumb. And want to make sure that fans and players on D&D Beyond can use it. Yeah, I don't believe them. I mean, I believe them in a sense of PR, but other than that, I don't believe them. To the end, we will transition Sigil to a D&D Beyond feature. That's what DDB stands for. We will maintain a small team to sustain Sigil and release products already developed at no additional cost to users. I mean, at least they're not charging people. But yeah, like, it's not a video game. Like, this is a virtual tabletop, and that's not a video game. The problem is, I think the developers probably tried to integrate, like, when they showed off the models, it was models modeled after Baldur's Gate 3. And the problem is Suits and Ties just don't understand that it's not a video game, which, you know, how do you get them to realize that? They probably don't even care. Like the difference between a virtual tabletop and a video game are very big, but to a suit and tie or executives, they probably don't care and just want both of them to make money. But the problem is with the virtual tabletop, there's not a lot of money in it, at least the one that they were developing especially. The memo adds that to these moving on a result of this decision, we will provide robust support, including severance packages, 2024 bonus, career placement services, and internal opportunities where possible. I mean, that's nice at least. That's really nice. I hope the severance packages is at least decent. Rascal News then shares further revelations from the anonymous employee, which issues sigil of a confused and poorly communicated development cycle. One where corporate leadership was lacking and there was a distinct lack of interest from the word go. Really? And you had over 30 people working on it and there was no interest? Why the heck was so many people working on it then? Because I feel like that's a decently sized team. I mean, of course, Wizards of the Coast is a very big company and Hasbro is an even bigger company, but like a 30 plus person team is a lot of people, especially working on 3D models. And like, that's the thing they were trying to build was a very expensive thing too, because it's going to take a long time to make. The fact that they started working this in 2024 and their project that they released is like, it's an unfinished project 100%, but it's like a workable product. Shows how good these guys were at actually developing something like this. All with the rumbling undercurrent of Wizards of the Coast not knowing how to put a video game together. Wait, but this isn't a video game. Which, to be clear, Sigil was never going to be. Yeah, but this isn't a video game. That didn't stop Hasbro thinking it was cut from the same cloth, though. Hasbro treated Sigil like a video game instead of a VTT and at no point cared to understand the difference. The company apparently expected Sigil to create revenue in a similar fashion to Magic the Gathering or Baldur's Gate 3, simply by existing. Yeah, that's never going to happen. When that proved not to be the case, the employee said Hasbro pushed Sigil out of the nest and were uninterested if it managed to fly before crashing to the earth. Yeah, I mean, I guess this is just a problem of Hasbro has absolutely no idea what they're making. And not only no idea, no interest, and not really caring. All they care about is something that makes money, and VTTs don't make money. I mean, they make money, I'm sure, because things like Roll20 and Foundry and like similar products exist, but there's no way that they're making the Hasbro level of money that they expect. They're not making Magic the Gathering or Baldur's Gate 3 money, especially a VTT that's 3D and that's like going to be heavily integrated with D&D Beyond, because the problem with a VTT that's inherently integrated with it is that what if you don't use D&D Beyond? Which, you know, to be fair, a lot of people do, but like not everyone does. So it's just it's a problem. It seems like Project Sigil, their VTT, was doomed from the start. And unfortunately, I feel like this is kind of one of the better scenarios because at least they got to make something that was actually released. I'm surprised this was approved at all. If Hasbro thought this was a video game, like I wonder what the actual pitch was, because it sounds like Hasbro was never going to be okay with this. That's interesting to think about. I'm curious what was actually pitched. The employee describes a meeting only a month ago where Collins asked leadership about their vision for Sigil going forward. Nobody was able to provide a clear answer. Jeez. Wait, okay, leadership. So Collins was one of the lead developers, if I remember, but the leadership on the project didn't know what the goal was or the vision was. This is such a mess. What happened? I'm so curious, like what happened in this development process? Seems so disorganized. It doesn't feel too great to have my fear about the ill-fated D&D virtual tabletop vindicated. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't very hopeful for this thing either, but honestly, in my opinion, it's worse than I thought. To hear even via a secondhand account that Hasbro was simply treating Vigil as some video game they could rinse with microtransactions gave me a sick stomach. I'm frustrated more than anything. The developers are out of job, the money went into this, and the people who are out of touch with how TTRPGs are played keep giving marching orders to people who know their stuff. Yeah, I mean, the biggest problem is that it seems like the leadership and the executives and like have absolutely no idea what products they're selling. Like, this was never going to be a video game, and it's never going to be like a video game, but they constantly treated it like a video game, and they don't even know what they're doing. Like, they actually don't know what they're selling. They simply do not know what they're selling at all, which is not a good sign when you're in the leadership positions. Like, the fact that Collins asked leadership what their vision was, and they didn't know. Like this was a month ago from now, so you're a year into a project and you don't know what the vision is. Like, isn't that supposed to be like the first thing you figure out, like the goal of what you're trying to do? To be fair, I've never been in this style of project, but I feel like that's one of the first things people figure out. Like, it's not the small details, it's the, okay, what are we trying to achieve? So it seems like this thing was literally doomed from square one, unfortunately, because it just looks like it's just nothing. I mean, it's nice that it at least released something, so then, you know, people that are into it can at least use it a little bit, but I doubt this thing's going to be anything. I mean, they've literally said it themselves later in the article. We will maintain a small team to sustain Sigil and release products already developed at no additional cost. So they're going to release stuff they've already made, but it's a maintenance crew. It's a maintenance team, not a production team. It's not a development team. It's maintenance. It's in maintenance mode when it's released in beta, which is just sad. It's a sad, sad time. Well, luckily, we're not dependent on Wizards of the Coast to make a VTT. There are plenty out there, and VTTs aren't even necessary. They're like a nice addition, but you don't need it. So, you know, at least that's something. Thank you everyone for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. If you liked this video, please like it. If you disliked it, please dislike it. I understand. If you'd like to subscribe, I really appreciate it. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. Once I do, I'll be doing a Q&A video, so please subscribe. If you comment down below what you guys thought about this, I'm very sad about this, but while I wasn't surprised, still sad. People lost their jobs and they were making a product that seems cool, but I don't think was necessarily necessary. But also, the management was it seems like it was so bad, like a nightmare management situation. If you'd like to check me out on other platforms, I have a Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Threads. If you'd like to check me on any of those platforms, all at the Technojelly. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Goodbye everyone.